All right, hey everyone, this is Ash. Welcome back to the King's Speech. So we are about to dive into my reaction review for One Piece chapter 970. So last week's chapter was mostly a mixed bag, although I did like the poetic ending. So hopefully Oda keeps that trend up with this chapter. Now that we're getting to what I hope will be the actual emotional crux of what we've gotten so far. So without further ado, let's dive into One Piece chapter 970, Oden versus Kaido. And I have to admit, I have no idea what the hell Oda's going for with this cover page or this story, because we have the kissing obsessed residents of Dressrosa who have now apparently overwhelmed Bege and Vito. And we have Gang Bege's Oh My Family, Volume 19. Bege and Vito are immobilized. And as usual, we have translation by Stephen Paul, lettering by Vanessa Satone. So we pick up where we left off last time, and we see we see a callback to the old lady that was training Robin to be an Oiran. As you see some of them sitting in Orochi's palace playing the shamsens with a bebang. And you see the March of the Scabbards with a grim, angry-looking Oden at their lead, heading towards the Flower Capital. And you see back in Kuri, Momonosuke is reading a book on swordsmanship, and Toki's dressing up Hiyori and prettying her up all nicely with their hair and everything else. And you see Yasue and his men, Yasue and his men making their way somewhere. And you see the change in so you see the change in the thing from where is that change in weather? Yeah, I don't know if that's supposed to be the flower capital and that's supposed to be. Oh, that's not Kuri. That's Ringo. I don't know why. It's a weird panel because he has the contrast between the things like the clear, almost fall weather in the flower capital versus the snow in Ringo. I don't know why he decided to randomly put that in there. And you see Oden looking shocked as he comes to a stop with a bang, and we have, "This is not what I expected. Why are you so thoroughly prepared? How did you know? I was on my way to cut off your head as you sat on the empty island drinking yourself to sleep. I wasn't expecting a battle of numbers." And you see Kaido in his dragon form going, "Perhaps I have a spy in your castle, Woro. I've just had my mansion built. I'd rather not have it used as a battleground. So I came out to meet you instead." Oden goes, "What an idiot. Then it was all a lie, wasn't it, Kaido? You think, smart dumbass?" And you see Kaido who's wrapped himself around one of the mountains. And you see Oden and his forces looking out over the valley below them, where a bunch of Kaido's forces have amassed. And he goes, "That's right, Woro. All lies. I sensed that we were at a disadvantage then. After you return, oh my God, are you kidding me? After your return, if you had joined force with Hyogoro, we would have had to deal with all the samurai and yakuza of Wano together. We had fewer numbers then. It would have been a difficult battle, especially if you lived up to your fearsome reputation as a madman who would not blink at any sacrifice, Woro. Goes, instead, you chose a method that would not hurt anyone. Newgate and Roger were like that too. Mighty pirates, but soft in their way. And you are one of them, the fool who chose to dance. Stripped to your loincloth, mocked by all, Woro. You have none of the old Kozuki dignity." And so Oden takes out his blade as he goes, "I stand by my decision that day." Let us speak of the future now. And you see all of Kaido's grifters and pledgers just getting all super excited. They're like, yeah! And they're pulling up their sword. And you see Oden furiously rushing through. I assume Conqueror's Haki blasting off him as he slashes his way through Kaido's forces. And you see Denjiro and why the hell am I forgetting? Kinemon following close behind him as they go, follow Lord Oden into battle. And we have Gya as they're rushing behind. And Kaido's force is like, wait a second. Is this what samurai are like? They're so tough. Don't fall back. We have the strength of numbers on our side. And you see the individual panel shots of all the scabbards going into battle furiously. And you have Lord Yasue. And you see... you see back in Kuri and Oden's castle, you see Yasue and his men have come here to protect Toki and the children in case Kaido tries to pull what he did 5 years ago. Yasue goes, Oden sent a messenger to me by horse. He said his wife and children would be in danger, and he asked me to see to you. And he goes, so, Lord Momonosuke is already 8. And you see again in the background a reference to what Momonosuke said about Hiyori, where she drop kicks him in the face as she's running around, being a tomboy. And Yasue goes, Otoki, we must be prepared for the worst. If Oden loses this battle, then this country is lost. And you see as Oden's running through the forest, and you see as one of Kaido's forces trains a little sniper scope on him. And you see an as one of Shuriken lands on them. And you see a zish as someone's flying through the treetops above. Excuse me. And Oden's like, who did that? And we have a young sexy Nami as Shinobu joins the side again. And we have what fourth or fifth Nami clone we've seen this arc. She's like, I hope you don't mind that I'm joining your side. You may not remember me, but I served back in the days of Shogun Sukiyaki. And Oden's like, is that Shinobu? And he thinks back to a little childhood Shinobu who looks very much like a stereotypical ninja wearing all black with a little face mask. And she's like, yes, it is me. I served at the castle believing that the Kozuki would rule once again. But Furokuju and the Kozuki Ninja Legion chose to switch allegiance to Orochi in the end. I dreamed of one day serving you as shogun, so I can no longer stay in the palace. Oden goes, I do not blame any who would lose faith in a fool of a lord. And you have Shinobu kind of just putting on a sad face. As Raizo goes, we walk a path of thorns, Shinobu. And she goes, I will join you. And you see explosions happening off in the forest as Kaido's just slowly circling over the battlefield. And you have on one side 11 samurai ventured into battle. And you see, be careful, some of them are very dangerous. And you see on the other hand 1,000 pirates. So you see Denjiro and Kanjuro facing off against Queen. And you see Raizo running away from King, who's apparently spreading flames everywhere as he swings his sword. And you see Kaido doing his blast breath from above as he sets the forest on fire. And yeah, but the battle lasted longer than expected, as Kozuki Oden's strength surpassed the enemy's imagination. And you see it, as Oden gets sent flying back with the kabam. And he gets up and he says, the only thing I want to cut is your scaly neck. Oden two-sword style. And he does Paradise Totsuka as he slashes a giant X-shaped scar on the middle of Kaido's torso. And I guess we now know where Kaido got that scar from, as his men are all watching in shock and going, he landed a blow on the invincible Kaido! And we have a bam, and he's like, oh! And you see Kaido with the kind of blank, knocked out eyes as he comes crashing to the ground. And Oden goes rushing towards him to land the final blow as he goes, "Never come back to Wano." And someone goes, "Stop right there, Oden." And you have, "Help, father." And you see one of the grifters has somehow gotten his hands on Momonosuke and he's threatening him with a sword. And he's like, "Father!" And Oden looks back and like, "Momo!" And with a giant gonk, you see Kaido stepping up behind Oden and delivering a mighty blow with his club as he knocks him out. And you see Oden's just almost got knocked out. He's almost lost consciousness. He's got blood dripping down his face. And you see a heh and kill. As Momonosuke turns back into the old lady, whose name I could not be bothered to remember for this. With a click, you have kill. And all the scabbards call out, "Lord Oden!" And then Ashura's like, "Lord Oden!" And you see him getting stabbed in the back by someone with a shunk. Who the hell is that? I don't know if this is Oda trying to indicate like that there's some kind of traitor is the one that stabbed Ashura through the back, or if there's someone else, but I don't know. It looks like he's trying to imply that whoever the traitor is stabbed Ashura during the back during this moment, whatever. Though we have the fighting was so fierce that the fires that burned Udon's thick forest did not abate until the rains arrived a full 5 days later. The daimyo of Kuri, Kozuki Oden, and his 9 followers were imprisoned in the flower capital to await their punishment for the crime of rebellion against the shogun. Unaware of the reason behind this act, the populace's reaction was cold. They're like, after what a disappointment he was, a little late, don't you think? And you see Shinobu shrouded walking her way through the capital. And then she sees the citizens talking about this, going, "Does this mean we won't get to see his naked dance every week?" It's the only downside to this. They're like, "Hey, this is serious." And you see a bloodied Oden looking back, thinking back, going, "I don't know her. She's no vassal of mine. Are you after my life then? Who are you? Be gone, Kunoichi." And you see he's talking about Shinobu, who was captured and tied up along with the rest of them. I guess I'll talk about that at the end later on. And you see Shinobu just kind of silently contemplative. And as she's walking through the town, she hears, "The sentence for the samurai has been decided." And you see Momonosuke going, "Mother, when is father coming home?" And Hiyori's like, "I folded a paper balloon for him." And Toki's like, "Oh, that's lovely. Won't it be nice when he returns?" And you see someone playing with the folded paper crane. You see Yasue sitting outside watching the rain. And you see in the public square 3 days hence, the 10 wicked samurai are sentenced to be boiled to death. And we have a babang as Oden is bloodied up and sitting in jail, awaiting execution. Next chapter hits February 16th. Looks like the series will be on break next week. So, what do I say about this chapter? So I guess I'll touch on the fact something a very prominent voice in the fandom kind of mentioned a couple of weeks ago, where he was trying to imply, that apparently the One Piece fandom doesn't know what it wants from Wano. And people are complaining that either the pacing is too fast during the flashback and, Oda's rushing it, etc., etc. Or there's people saying, "Oh, the flashback is too long already. When are we going to get to the battle?" And he was trying to imply that, no matter what Oda does, the fandom will never be happy because he's not going to be able to please all of them. And this kind of ties into, some kind of more longer term and also kind of recent fan discussions, criticism things, where a lot of fans think that, Oda shouldn't care what the fandom wants, shouldn't be trying to please anyone. He should just be trying to write the best story he can, and that's what I love about Oda is that he doesn't give a shit about what anyone thinks. He does what he wants. And this chapter, I think, kind of throws doubts on those and kind of really speaks to a lot of the other arguments, in which this was a very, very rushed chapter for what Oda was trying to set up. And I don't know what his thought process was or what he was thinking. Because I've spoken about out numerous times about how Oda hasn't really had like a central emotional focus or crux for a lot of this flashback, and he seemed to be banking on a lot of the fan service of bringing back old characters and re-showcasing all these old locations that we know have some kind of prominent role to play in the story to kind of reinvigorate fandom, excitement and investment in the series. But being like, oh, remember all this exciting stuff that you guys were wondering what the mysteries were about, can't you wait? I know you're excited to kind of get the answers to all these mysteries. Oh, isn't it so exciting? We might potentially get that now. And I think we're finally starting to see how much this arc is suffering for especially with a moment like this, where a lot of the emotional crux of this moment is supposed to be built around, all right, apparently Oden decided for some reason that he was going to wait 5 years, because he felt like that was the best way forward for all of Wano. And now he's just like, you know what? Yes, I was a fool back then because, I thought that Orochi and Kaido would be honorable. And Oda's kind of trying to do the contrast between that being like, oh, look at that Kaido. He and Orochi are double dealing pirates and they're cowards, not like the noble Oden, who's looking out for the people and he has all this integrity no matter how bad it makes him look. And oh, look at Kaido's a coward that, uses children as hostages and things like that. Except he's rushing it together too quickly. And so, in the space of a chapter trying to tie up all of this, when he hasn't built up enough emotional investment to try to have such a short payoff, it really doesn't work at all. So when Oden kind of goes and clashes with Kaido and is like, how dare you do all this, blah, 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 there's no real engagement for me, at least in this fight, because I don't really care about Oden as a character. I don't care what he's fighting for. And Oda continually trying to hide the mystery of, what exactly did Orochi tell him all those years ago? Why did he do what he did? And then having Shinobu come back in this chapter, who we know was there on that night and more than likely knows what Oden was doing, kind of just having her stay silent and just be introduced just to disappear at the end. I don't really know what Oda's trying to do, because again, like, there's been a lot of debate around Oda's recent estimate of, yes, One Piece is going to be ending in 5 years, and fans are kind of divided over that because some of them are like, Oda's had done a really shitty job of estimating timelines in the past. So, why is this time supposed to be even more accurate? And other people being like, well, he's been really insistent this time on correcting the editors and everyone else about it. And even the pace at which he's rushing this flashback makes me think that maybe he is actually right and that there is, he is actually determined to get this flashback to end in the series to end in 5 years. And I have to wonder why. I feel like there must be something going on in the background that's causing him to kind of really decide that he really needs to speed up the series if he has any hopes of completing it. And like, I really am wondering what's going on in the backgrounds, because this is atypical for Oda. Like, I don't know, like, I don't know how else to really kind of phrase it, but he seems to be kind of just like touching and going on what he thinks he needs to, for to maintain the absolute minimum level of reader investment and engagement within what's going on in this flashback. And I know there's been some recent conversations on Twitter that I saw where people are kind of going on about, how they can't believe that this flashback has been going on for so long, and kind of contrasting that with the idea of some people going, well, how can complain about the flashback being having going on for so long and also complain about it being rushed? And I think the only explanation for that is because of the absolute lack of focus and how just the absolute amount of content Oda's trying to push into each chapter, which is kind of giving rise to those dual feelings. So I wish we could kind of get a little more insight into Oda's thought process for why he's doing what he's doing, why he decided to approach the flashback like he did like this. Because a lot of people are right, and taking away the focus from Oden to kind of place it on all this, overarching Roger Whitebeard One Piece stuff. I know the complaint there is fans are being like, oh, aren't you excited about finding out what the One Piece is? Aren't you excited for these big mysteries? So why are you complaining about this? And in my opinion, it is not really the fact that Oda decided, to sideline Oden in his own flashback to focus on something completely so far tangentially unrelated to anything going on in Wano right now. It's that none of the Roger stuff, apart from, revealing that the official romanization for Raftel is now Laugh-Tail, and kind of just throwing hints and mysteries at what the One Piece is. None of it was really anything new, and I think I mentioned this in a previous video, is none of what he revealed, apart from the Laugh-Tail stuff, again, like I have to kind of re-emphasize that, none of that really changed our perspective on any of the information revealed, because there's already things we knew before rehashed, and there was nothing additional added to it that kind of changed our perspective. So for me, if the entire point was just to do that, that time would have been better spent on fleshing out Oden as a character and driving in more emotional investment into this flashback. And I think that's the real reason a lot of fans feel like, it's dragging and it feels like it's being rushed too much, is Oda's trying to do too many things at once, and that lack of focus is really kind of dividing fans over it. And yeah, so I think that's probably the reason it feels like that. And yeah, but last few comments. Apologize if I seem like I'm rambling a little bit too much, because last week was just kind of mentally draining for me. So I'm still trying to kind of bring my mind out of that fog. So I'm a little unfocused, so I tend to ramble a little bit. But the other thing I want to focus on, apart from, my everlasting complaint that Oda really needs to stop with this obsession of being like, oh, the idea that once women reach a certain age, they somehow become, completely conventionally unattractive, and suddenly they're ripe for making fun of and being, basically being made fun of. Because he's done this with Shinobu, where it's like, oh, when Shinobu was young and fuckable, she was hot Nami, and as soon as she reached a certain age, she became dumpy and unattractive, and all the jokes are going to focus around, how men don't find her attractive or don't think she's hot anymore. It's a disturbed obsession he really needs to stop with. And that's apart from all my other complaints that she does look like another discount Nami. But I want to focus on this part where Oden cuts Kaido, because this again feels totally inconsistent to me, and I don't know what Oda's aim is with this. Because when he first introduced Kaido, the whole intrigue built up around this character is all right. This character is unkillable for whatever reason, or he's just super super tough. Is built up this idea that oh, he's been captured by the emperors, the navy, all these other enemies so many times. He's lost countless number of times. He's been tried to be executed any number of ways. He's always made his way out of there, and the blades always break. The ropes always break. All that stuff. And he's built up this whole image of Kaido being like this unbeatable, unkillable monster. And he even had the whole thing of like, oh, in a one-on-one fight, you always bet on Kaido. And then I think in some interviews he did mention that he doesn't know how Luffy is going to beat Kaido. And I wonder if that got to him and he's just like, oh, I have to somehow now make it believable that, it is possible for them to get a victory against this character. And then it feels like that tied into his need to have Oden be, kind of this stereotypical alpha male. Where he's like, oh, I have to show that Oden is a threat and he could have taken down Kaido, blah, blah, blah. And he had to give him this massive cut. Except the way this battle played out, it literally seems like it came out of nowhere. Where, you start this battle, Oden's like, oh yeah, Kaido, I'm going to take you down. You have, like, a few panels of him just taking on some goons. And then suddenly he's just up there cutting Kaido, going down. And then we have this shift to, like, oh, Kaido does this backstabbing, piratey move of using Momonosuke as, fake Momonosuke as a hostage so that he can take down Oden. It's just so tonally inconsistent and out of nowhere that that's literally why I had to laugh when I saw this scene, because I'm like, it just seems out of nowhere. It seems like Oda decided, oh, Oda needs a badass moment, this badass righteous anger moment where he's taking down this guy that's enslaved his country and everything. But you have everything I mentioned before of like the lack of emotional investment, the way this flashback is being paced and everything else, leading up to what should be a badass moment. And instead it's just ridiculous looking at it, being like, all right, I guess this is a thing that happened. Because as soon as I read this, I'm just like, is this gonna be like the Hobbit Desolation of Smaug kind of thing? Where it's like, oh, the ancestor was able to, peel apart the scale plates and give us an inside, and then they're going to land the same blow into that same spot, and that's going to be what takes down the big dragon. Like, I don't know what the hell else to say or even think about this. Is just so bizarre. I really don't know how else to say it. I guess the only thing I can really say is it'll be interesting to see how Oda wraps this up. Because so far, Wano has been just all over the place. Like, I don't know what he's going for with Kaido. Like, if he wants I don't know what the ultimate impression is that Oda expects us to have of Kaido. And chapters like this are just making it even messier, and I really don't know what the end game is going to look like. Honestly, I think I have to cut it off there because I'm just, at this point, just in bewilderment that this is the point the series has kind of gotten into, where I am just openly laughing at what was supposed to be kind of like a badass climax of a chapter because of how ridiculous it was. Like, I literally cannot think of any other time the entire series I've ever felt like this at a scene like this. But I think that's all the thoughts I have for now, because I can just feel my brain getting fuzzier. So hopefully in 2 weeks, once we get the next chapter, once my thoughts are cleared up, I'll try to revisit this chapter and see if I can come up with more concrete thoughts on why exactly it felt so odd to me, and maybe suggestions for what Oda could have improved on within it. And maybe I'll try to do a little bit of a better analysis of this. But yeah, I honestly think this is going to be an arc when it ends. I want to do another live stream with some friends to kind of talk about it, because I feel like this is going to be one of the more divisive arcs in the series. And I think I want to kind of get a feel on the pulse and see what everyone else thinks about it, if they feel the same way as I do, or if they have any different kind of feelings. But yeah, I feel like we need to have some kind of conversations about this, because it feels like there's something going on with Oda that we're missing out on. But like I said, I will cut it off there. For now, I hope you all enjoyed my ramblings on this video. My Haikyuu reaction should be out by the time this video drops as well, and I'll have a couple of read-throughs coming out on the same day, hopefully along with this. And until next time, this is Ash. I'll talk to you all later.